Welcome to Romera Records Podcast. Today we have on
Son.Person.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
It's doing good. So the other day I had on Viraj. That was cool.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
We were just talking about how we met and everything at the studio, and that was really cool when you had showed up because, like, you had showed up with Viraj and who else was it?
It was D. Alexander.
D.
Yeah, D.
So when y'all had walked in, I'd noticed you. I didn't know them.
Yeah.
And then I saw you, and I was like, that kid looks familiar. I swear he's in Memphis. And then I asked you, like, yeah. And I was like, that's crazy.
Yep.
So y'all were there because you had that that songwriter thing that night.
Digilog.
Digilog thing.
So, dude, it was a crazy day. We were meeting with booking companies, Digilog event, which is that community platform. They were listening to some music in the studio, and then we went to this shoe store afterwards. But they were doing like a podcast too. And yeah, I just got interviewed on there. It was cool. It was fun.
So when you are doing these kind of things, like, do you like to set them up like back to back to back, or you like to spread them out? How's your schedule usually going?
If I am not busy that week, then I'll do it. I usually like to plan something out like 7 days, but like let's say like I have a free gap of time and someone hits me up like 3 days before, then like sure, I don't see why not.
By the way, to everybody who, if you're not watching, you're just listening.
Yeah,
you're 17.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like, you're just like when we were talking about the music business and everything, your knowledge and wisdom about the music right now is insane. Like, I didn't really get into music until like 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. So, I'm 23.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, learning about just music, period.
Yeah.
But like,
it's like 17 yourself. Or that's 6 years?
Like, that's crazy to. No, I'm saying I'm 29 now.
Sorry. That's awesome.
No, yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, when I was 23.
I know, I was like -6.
No, when I was 23, I'm just now learning about music. Like, I'm learning how to make beats and engineer and stuff. When I was 23, you're 17 and you're learning all, like, that's crazy, and that's gotta be great for your future, just to be able to already know this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because especially like with the love for music that I have, it's not like, it's like, oh, my parents are forcing me to do this like a sport. And then it's like, oh, those years of experience were really for nothing. And it's like with music, I've been playing in bars. I started when I was 7. So 10 years now.
That's crazy, man.
And like, I'd say like, actually like getting deep into music business stuff like 2 years, and then like pushing music originally like 9-10 months. That's wild. We're almost on a year.
So when you're with all these people in these rooms, I'm still stuck on that age thing.
Yeah.
So like when you're with people and you're working with people who are like much older than you, do you feel like you have to kind of throw up a guard because you're like, they're probably trying to take advantage because I'm young, or do you feel like, it's just it's just another person?
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, like, to be honest with you, I always hung around like older people when I was younger anyways. Like, even in the bands that I was in where we would play bars and stuff, like, dude, I remember the first time I went on tour, like around the country, and I was the youngest one there. I was like 13 years old, and everyone there was like 16 and up. So it was just like, I was used to it. It's like, it's not about, I understood really young that it wasn't about your actual age. It's just your maturity, your understanding, like what you said, wisdom.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool thing to be a certain age and like working with different people. Like,
yeah, no, it's exciting. I honestly, like, I really enjoy that because there's so many different people, so many different backgrounds, so many different like ways of life just in age alone.
Yeah.
And like, working with people that are much older, and even people that are just like in their 20s, or people my age, like seeing the different backgrounds of music. And like how you talk about, like, you're newer to this. Like, my co-producer is almost 40 years old as well, and has been doing it since he was my age. Like, my co-producer literally, like, I think the only thing he can't do is make hard rap music because he's just incapable. Like, that's not his thing. Yeah. But at the same time, like, we make the coolest tracks because, like, it's this mix of his older sound with my newer age engineering and styles with music. It's like, it's so fun. I love it.
So when you make music, you've been doing like this hyper pop, right?
Yeah.
So is that something that you feel like I don't know. Is that's your thing, or is that something you're just trying out?
Dude, to be honest, like, because when I first started putting out music, people always ask me, like, what kind of music do you make? And I couldn't tell them. Like, I had no clue. I just like to make stuff. Okay. And, like, so that 10 years of experience really came from School of Rock. That's where my co-producer is the general manager there as well. But, you know, it's like, I started off doing stuff like Weezer, Kiss, the Rolling Stones. Then you go into stuff like Beatles, Motown, and even like Jack White, the Black Keys, like AC/DC, Rage Against the Machine. Like 10 years of that. Like it's just everything you can think of. And it's like I didn't want to put myself in a box because I knew how to portray different sounds. So it was like, why not just combine them and make that stuff my own? And that's what I really found a love for, like popular music and just like good, like the term good music. Yeah, like it's not necessarily, and I agree with that. Like it's not about genres. Like you can put stuff in a box to like be like, oh yeah, top 10 songs, this is how it is. But to objectify music like that, like it's just, I just think it's about feeling. If it feels right, then it's right. That's how I perceive it.
Do you want to get back into that band type feel, or are you happy with what you're doing right now?
Well, it's funny you say that because I have a full band. It'll be my first full band performance this Friday at Mushroom Fest out at Shelby Forest. But yeah, so we're literally like, you hear this stuff online on Spotify and whatever, we're stripping that down to a full band this weekend. It's gonna be so exciting because the coolest part is like a lot of this stuff, although it is newer sounding, we really can strip down because a lot of the instrumentation involved is just straight up bass, keys, guitar, and then like drum loops from Splice. Okay. So it's like whipping all that up in Ableton. Of course, you can put it down to raw instruments, and it sounds beautiful. I'm really excited.
Dope. So how much do you know about, you're mentioning Ableton, you're throwing these names out there with Splice and stuff like that. How much do you know about the actual production of it?
Yeah, so like I could go into Splice and I could use Ableton to like make you a track. Like I'm not gonna say I'm the best producer in the world, but it's more of just like a sightseeing game. Like I was always around producers. I was always just like watching people do it, and I was very observant. I wasn't like again, like I cannot make crazy drum patterns just like using MIDI notes, like programming everything. That's not me. But like being able to study it and see like, okay, I can rip some drums out of Splice. I can rip this melody out of Splice, and then like find some samples within Ableton. That's not too hard. Okay. Yeah. The music business side is like the bigger side of me though.
Okay. Yeah, like that, just being able to know terminology and stuff like that, that's huge.
Yeah, just like, that's what I think is like being well-rounded. You have to be, especially in music. Like you talked about like people being shady. Like I think the biggest way, so I took AP Psych my sophomore year, and that really helped me gauge an understanding. That and AP Lang, which taught me rhetoric. Like those two things really made me understand, okay, is someone talking to me in a pitch, or are they talking to me just to like be a person? Yeah. And then it was like from there I used those skills just to like gauge a better understanding of music business. And it's like, when you can understand how to read people and also terminology within music production on the more music side and on the more business side, it's like, you can use all that together to see through people.
Yeah. And that's something that you got to have in music business. Like, heck yeah. People who, I'm going to say like, probably like rappers who have had like, who used to be in the streets and have all these like gang affiliate type stuff. Like those people actually are really good in the industry because they got street smarts. They understand how people work. They know what they're doing. So it helps them out a lot.
I was gonna say it's all about the concept of things. Like you talk about is street smarts. Like it's the same things, experiences that'll like teach you the same concepts of like, okay, well, this person's going to treat me wrong because I've had this experience before. The same thing you might learn in school, just a different way.
Yeah. Being able to just understand people and know like you can like predict the future basically. Yeah, like, literally. Do you know who Clever is?
Yeah.
So I think we were talking about him, but something that happened in his career, I saw it coming. Like I just saw it coming because number one, I think he's like in his mid 30s or late 30s or something like that. And he ends up getting popular. He does that song with Was it NLE Choppa?
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Stick by My Side.
Yep.
And then he starts getting popular, and then he ends up signing a deal with Post Malone.
Yeah.
And that Posty / Republic Records type thing. Mm-hmm. And I think he didn't release a single song under them. Or he might have released like one song. Huh. And he told them he wanted to leave because they wasn't able to release his music. And I was like, I saw this coming. Just because like I see his personality and like the way he works. Like, dude's a workaholic. Like him and Juice WRLD were really close. They were like brothers. And for him to just like be stuck in that label and not be able to do what he wanted to do, I was like, yeah, I definitely saw that. But, you know, to each your own. You got to choose your path.
Yeah, that's true. Man, I know. It's all about just like literacy, but like, I don't know. You can't really put everything behind just academics, especially for this industry. It's like you can say you know everything, and then someone will pull something. Like there's a trick, there's a new trick up everyone's sleeve in the music industry. Which I really wish there was less of that. Like I feel like if everything was more sound in the music industry and just like more straight up, there would be so many less problems. People wouldn't be running ragged how they are.
Yeah.
Like I think music is an industry where it's 24/7. It's like you wake up thinking about it, you go to bed thinking about it. And it's like if you aren't, someone else is. It's a very hustle industry, but it's because we all work ourselves that way. Yeah. If everyone would just take a step back, if that was a possibility, then like our lives would be so much easier. If everyone looked at music like a 9 to 5, whew, that would be so nice. But yeah. I mean, how it is.
When you're working with people like in the music industry, everybody's got different personalities. Yeah. Like some people are workaholics, some people are super lazy.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to get the feel of like, you know, and then you have to build a team, right? Because you have to figure out like, what do I want my team to consist of? Do I want to have like, am I okay with that one lazy person that every once in a while they do great work and then they go back? It's like a hibernating bear. Yeah. Like, they come out, they do great, then they just fall off for a while. Like,
definitely. And it's a brave thing too, because it's like, especially, you know, like these things, especially, I know me, Son.Person and the little business ventures that I'm creating, these are like my children. It's like to leverage someone else on the team and then, you know, hope that they will benefit you, hope that they will be as engaged as you are. It's a scary process because, you know, you could hand something over to someone and you see little results from it, or it even does worse than you expected. And it's like, you got to take those risks because it's like you try doing everything on your own, it won't work out that way either.
By the way, where did you get Son.Person from?
Yeah, Son.Person. So I guess like same with you. So like 6 years ago, I was like, man, if I'm gonna grow up, I was like, I better get ready for all this artist stuff. Like I can replay it in my head. I was like, let me think to myself. I was like, I gotta have a name. And then like for like months, I was like, what is a good artist name? And I grew so frustrated with it. I realized I was like, man, because I only live with my mom. I realized I just want people to know that I do all of this for my mom, my number one supporter, and that I try to be a good person to everyone else. Anything else you can learn from the music, from the artistry. But from my name alone, Son.Person is all I want people to know. That's
crazy.
Yeah. So there's meaning behind it. It was just like, it was funny because like I stopped on it because I was like, I'm thinking too much about it. But at the same time, the name has depth. It's not like, oh yeah, no, I put the word son and then Google searched person right beside it. So.
And the great thing about it is how unique it is, because I get on to people all the time about their name. I'm like, yo, don't pick a dumb name. Don't pick a name that you're going to end up changing 3 years from now.
Yeah, that's how I was. That's why I was thinking when I was little. I was like, I can't do that. Because I'd seen it happen before, and I was like, I want to make sure my name means something. Because like my real name already, like that's something to hold in and of itself. But for my artist name, I was like, this is what people are going to know from a public point of view. So it's like, what do I want people to know from that public point of view? What do I want people to know from just a singular word? Well, that's what I want you to know. Anything else you learn separately.
So that also is great because the uniqueness of it, because when people search for you, there's not another Son.Person. Like it doesn't exist. So that helps you out. Do you feel like you're getting that good traction and stuff like that because you have such a unique name?
Maybe. I mean, Honestly, not as much, only just because like people don't even know how to pronounce it right. It's so funny. I'll get somebody Son.Persons or Son.Person, and I'm like, it's Son and Person. I'm like, it's not. They're like, well, I see an extra E, or I'm like, when I think of Sun, I think SUN. I'm like, what? I was like, I'm 17. Like, I don't think my grammar's that crazy, but yeah, no, it's I do think the name plays a part, though. It's funny because like as I've grown in my artistry and more people have come to know the name Son.Person, people like it. Like I'll come across some people that are like, "What does that mean?" But it seems like by the time I tell them the backstory, everyone seems to they don't have a problem with it.
It's a dope name.
So yeah, it's some fun stuff.
I think that when you get into that zone of like trying to make things easy for people, you realize it's impossible.
Yeah, like, you can't, because you just got to learn that like you can't please everyone.
Yes.
And that's like everything in the music industry.
Yes.
Everything is subjective. Nothing is linear. Like this is the least linear industry that there is. Like we live on guesstimations.
Yes.
Like we might as well like we're more speculative than the stock market industry. Like I swear, it's like because like you don't know. It's like you have to bet so much on music, but you know if you like what we talked about, you put in those hours long work. It's like you're staying up all night to be sure everything is perfectly in place. Then you'll see results from it. Yeah, and that's how I felt at least. So
to me, I think it's way less stressful and manageable at the stage that like you're at right now. Like you aren't some global superstar. Yeah. So this is the time to experiment and get all that stuff out.
And learn.
Yes, and learn. Because when you get, I think it's got to be extremely stressful. Say if you're like somebody like Drake, and you put out a song and it doesn't hit right, you're like, hold on, what's going on? Yeah. Like everything I make is magic. What's going on? So, literally. But now is the time to just see what people like and experiment and get out and just do stuff.
Exactly, especially in Memphis, it's like there's so much to experiment in. There's so much that like hasn't been brought to like wider attention outside of Memphis. So it's like. I enjoy the fact that I'm making something that people like that isn't the narrative sound, but that also the same community that you know has been uplifted through Memphis music are people that I'm friends with. It's like a lot of these. It's like it's so funny. I'll tell you. Last night I was at Cocash and Block Boy.
Yeah.
So you might not know these guys, but some good friends of mine. BZ, he's Cash's brother, and Clay Crucial, he's Block Boy's engineer. We went to Waffle House last night.
Okay.
Yeah, Crucial.
Yeah.
We literally like those guys are like 25, and I'm pretty sure like BZ was telling me, he was like, I went to Whitehaven and I go to Christian Brothers, but we're going to the studio and then it's midnight and we're going to Waffle House together. Like it's really like we're just friends, and I love that stuff. It's like that's the gap I want to bridge. That's the gap I want to bridge and like just unify within music. So it's exciting to see the beginnings of that, especially like being so young right now. And I'm like, man, this is just the beginning of it.
Yeah. You know? I think this is a great time in Memphis.
I agree.
There's something happening. I can't explain it.
I feel it too.
There's definitely something happening. Like even with like Hit Kid right now. Like I saw he reposted
I'm so happy for that dude, like that, because I can't tell you, like we've had some dope discussions just talking about how like we're gonna do this in Memphis, we're really gonna like bring it up. And I remember he showed me FNF. We were in the studio like a week or two before it came out, and Glorilla, she literally like she did that song in the studio when we were talking together, and she was like, "Hey kid, what it do, man?" She's like, "Come in here, I got a track to show you." She showed her that song, and I was like, this is really good. And then like 2 weeks later it comes out, hits 1 million on YouTube, and I was like, oh, they had something. I was like, dang. I hit him up. I was like, yeah, you're right. We're about to make dreams come true.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great thing. And even like, what's his name? Charlemagne.
Yeah.
He talked about it on The Breakfast Club. He was like, Memphis right now has the hottest rappers out.
Yeah.
Which he has said that probably like a year ago. It's been a while.
The rap game is one thing. You look at our music business, because it's all these little baby pieces of infrastructure that are getting built. And it's like, we didn't have it before in Memphis. It's like, we're all collectively like pushing for something that hasn't been seen yet. And
Yeah.
like the fact that there's unity in that alone, it brings us together as people so much easier because
Yes.
collectively we have the same ideas.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, here's the team, let's push it.
Yeah. And that's something that I'm trying to help prevent happening in Memphis is people trying to like build their villages and then
Segregate.
Yeah. Because I can definitely see that happening, but I'm trying my best to not let that happen because I think that's what happened in a certain era of time. I think back in like the 60s and 70s, they did a great job at like being a community. Like they were all kind of making the same kind of music and it was great. And everybody knew Memphis for their great music, but I think there was a time period where everybody got separated. And
well, you look at politically, historically in Memphis, like the Crump era, and when highways started being built, and it's like you segregate cities that are flourishing. It's like that's what comes about. We make the projects, and it's like it sucks that that's the case, but. It's just making people knowledgeable on the past, especially with Memphis, and wanting to uplift their community instead of just being like, man, this place sucks and moving to Nashville or something like that. Like, nah, this place, like Memphis, there's so much great, deep-rooted history here. Not even just in music. Music's one thing. Memphis itself is like an inventor of so much. Like, I could go on. I love this city,
So you've got your own thing going with Notoriety, right? So
that's a piece.
Explain to everybody about that.
So we have a few pieces of infrastructure we're building ourselves. Notoriety Music Group, which is publishing and distribution. Urban PM, which is a community engineered platform that will most likely just serve more for Memphis artists in general. It will have like interviews, podcasts, playlisting opportunities, ways that the community can uplift and market one another. We have Infinite Progeny, which is a record label we're starting up on our own, and it'll be a developmental thing where, like, right now, a lot of the skills that I've learned through just, like, crash courses online that I've seen success from, I'm going to teach artists that are the same age as me, like people that are my age that aren't maybe having a harder time putting themselves out there, like one-on-one consulting, making them spreadsheets, plans. I won't go into in-depth on it, but, you know what it is, a label, it helps them out. But, and then also, this is a newer thing for me, but I have a thing that I want to start up called Palm, and Palm will be another branch under this little umbrella. The biggest thing out of it, so obviously my name's Son.Person. I didn't tell you this before, but my biggest project is to be called People LLC, and under People are these trickled-down pieces of infrastructure within Memphis music. Palm, though, is People of Memphis, and it'll be a booking company. Like, honestly, to be real with you, when I went to Nashville, I realized how, like, capitalistic their mindsets were. Like, this one dude was just trying to, like, take my manager and, like, sign my manager while also developing me into his firm. I don't know. Dang. It was weird. I was like, dude, like, this is just too much. I'm here to, like, book frat parties with you. And then I realized, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I do this on my own already. Like, I do all my booking. So I was like, shoot, this is something I'm most knowledgeable on. Let's just make something out of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to start. Right now, it's like smaller scale, throwing events, more just like networking and getting the artists that I know involved. But I mean, this has been like proactively booking and like networking and stuff, probably like 4 months. So, I mean, if we're able to do as much as we have in 4 months, then like, I don't see why a full-scale booking company can't become a reality. Yeah. So. And people pay attention. I have my own label, Damage Media Group. I love it. I'm trying to take over. But I'm telling people about yours. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Like, I hate when people have this, like, famine mentality of, like, well, I've got my thing. You can't have your thing because... No reason to be territorial about it. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, anytime I get the chance, I tell people about who you are and what you're doing. I'm honestly the same way. Like, I've been telling a lot of people about just all of Damage Media Group, and even like with Uproar Records, like, or what is Uproar Recording, Uproar, right? Recording, yeah. Like, I've been telling everyone how great of a place this is and how like it's just. And it's what I love about it too is that a lot of the good spots in Memphis, they aren't in the best parts of town. Yeah, this is like there's nothing wrong over here. Yeah, like you do not have to worry about much in Bartlett. Yeah, and the space here is so clean and nice. Like I enjoy it. So
And that is what needs to happen. It needs to be people who are doing their own thing, but helping other people like get to where like any question you ask, I answer it. Like I'm not trying to withhold.
I hate gatekeepers. Oh my god, dude. It's like, what's the point? People that gatekeep don't have anything to gatekeep. People that gatekeep, like they think that they know something, and like it just makes them feel good. They're just like holding it over your head. It's like I can't tell you how many times like that happened to me, especially in the beginnings, where I was like, I would ask people questions, and they'd just be like, figure it out, or it'd be like, nah. And then I reach out to the source. And those people are like the nicest in the world. And then like the person I was trying to get connected through, they're like, nah. It was so funny.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree.
That's what happens in the industry. Like you'll find out, and this isn't even just for music. This is really for anything. You'll find out that like some of the top people who are in whatever industry you're working in are usually pretty nice.
Yeah.
And it's because they probably are done with all the bullcrap that they've been through.
Yeah.
And they're just like really just there to help people now.
Exactly.
Like, that's all they want to do. But the people who are still trying to make it big, they're usually the douchebags.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to knock everybody else down so they can get to the top.
Yeah. They want to make it easier for themselves. Yeah. And it's like, like what you just said, it humbles you to do hard work.
Yes.
And it's like when you realize like you can't cut corners and you're just doing what you believe at least is the right thing to do, then like, and you see stuff just come to you. Like I can't tell you how many times where I would try to push something or be like, oh my gosh, like I need to be part of a label right now. I need to have X, Y, and Z to fulfill my needs in music.
Yeah.
That's not true. Like literally, dude, anything you think you can get.
I think my camera isn't on. I just cracked my head and turned to the camera and hold on, everybody. I'm about to start that camera back on. Oh no, it's on.
All right, good.
Oh my god,
that scared me.
Yeah,
dude, that wouldn't be the first time. I literally did like an interview 2 weeks ago. He did the whole thing, and then he goes up to his camera and he's like, "Wait a minute."
Oh my god.
But
yeah, so fun story about the history of the podcast. So I was doing it at my house.
Yeah.
And I was doing it on FL Studio.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a podcast with Louise Page. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I know Louise.
So I did a podcast with her, and I think that was the first time I was going to do like longer than 30 minutes. All my podcasts were 30 minutes. And that was just because the camera I was using had like a 30-minute record limit.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. Well, I did that podcast with Louise, and I get up to stop the recording on the computer, and my computer froze. Like FL Studio was just stuck. And I was like, no. So I'm sitting there like trying to get it unfrozen, and it had crashed. So I was like,
that sucks.
So I ended up releasing that podcast with just the camera audio, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then like 2 or 3 more podcasts go by, and the same thing happens every time. And I'm like, what's going on? So I ended up Googling it and finding out FL Studio had about 30 minutes or so record limit. It's not like a definite time frame. It's just like about 30 minutes or so. And then it will just like stop. It'll stop working. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So that's when I ended up moving to Adobe. And then I just got rid of all my Adobe products, and I'm switching to different products. Yeah. So now I use Luna to record all of my podcasts.
That's what you're saying. Luna's pretty good.
Yeah, I love Luna. And I was watching this guy on YouTube the other day, and he's talking about how bad of a company Avid is, which Avid, they use Pro Tools for everybody. But Avid got bought out, I want to say sometime last year, maybe. And they were hoping that, they're going to make a lot of changes and stuff, but they really haven't been. Like, they're still not even native to M1 Macs, like the new Mac computer. Yeah. So every other company has, like, switched over to M1. So I don't know what's going on with Avid, but there's things like Ableton, Logic Pro, Studio One, like all these other softwares to record music through are phenomenal. Yeah. But for some reason, Avid is, I don't know. I think they're falling behind. Old.
No, dude, I'm so tired with, like, old software companies just like staying old, like they don't want to innovate. Yeah. Like so me and my engineer, we use Auto-Tune obviously, and Antares was just like not working. Like we were using a monthly thing, and then it said our license wasn't working, so we bought it, and then it says our license still isn't working. Like, we're like, what is the problem? And we're like trying to reach out to customer service. They keep like giving us just people that don't know what they're talking about. And we were like, dude, what's a different service? We're like, where can we get auto-tune and not use Antares?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was a mess, but we got it figured out. They just did something with the cache, but it's just ridiculous, dude. Like, companies, especially like music, like it moves so quickly that like,
yeah,
these companies just don't care. Some of them do, but like Antares, like what you're talking about, it's like, come on, dude. We move with the times. If you've built yourself up in the music industry to like the level where like everyone knows the name of your brand, then like why are you not proactively like innovating? Why are you not doing things to stay with it?
Exactly. Yeah. And
that makes sense to me.
You can definitely tell when a company is actually thinking about its customers.
Definitely.
Because they start to adapt and like do different things, start becoming unique.
Yeah.
They don't keep doing the same thing like, oh, we got this update and it's just like the other 1,000 updates that we had.
Yeah.
So speaking about that, when you are doing your music and your advertising and stuff like that, you've got some pretty cool like marketing ideas and stuff like that. Yeah. Do you feel like they're working? Do you feel like, oh, I want to try something else? But you're always doing different stuff, so try something else is kind of a weird term.
Yeah.
But.
No, it's funny you say that because like another thing too, especially with social media, I've talked about this to some older people, but it's like, you know, for me, I was probably 6 years old when I got my first phone. Mm-hmm. From age 6 and up, like social media has been my life. What was your phone? It was like an iPhone 6.
Okay.
Yeah. And like it was more just like, okay, I can call and text my mom. But like I was just on it. Like, and like musically at the time was huge. Musically had just come out, which if you don't know what that is, that's like pre-TikTok. And you know, just like that was just me messing around at age, like I said, from like 6 and up, like that Snapchat, Instagram, like I understood those things like bread and butter just because I grew up with it. And I didn't really realize it until, you know, you get to a certain age where it's like, okay, you can look back on these things.
Yeah.
But then when it came to marketing music, I was like, I knew what would interact well with the audience online just because I was already doing stuff to push my content. And not like in a musical way, but just like because everyone else was. Mm-hmm. Like I was just getting that practice in. And then it was like, I guess it was over COVID, like sophomore year was really where I was like, man, I just want to start like using this platform because I built up an organic following just by lifestyle content. I was like, why not just incorporate that with what I love to do already?
Yeah.
And like, what's interesting too, I'll notice like when you try to be more niche with your content, it won't get as much attention. It won't get as much traction just because like, I guess you could say like people might not care as much. Yeah. Like lifestyle content I've noticed does so well just because everyone can relate to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you make your TikTok or like, so for me, like I'll make reels similar to how just like someone will lip sync another video, but I'll make it revolve around my song and be like, yo, we just hit 25K on this. People like that stuff.
Yeah.
It's easy, it's flashy, and it's quick to consume. So.
Yeah, and I love your videos. Like you keep doing those videos where you're just talking about your day. Like
yeah,
you're just
the
talking
vlogs.
about like what's going on through your day. That's it's cool.
Yeah, and it just gives people perspective. Like I know like most of my teachers at school follow me and like they'll like ask me questions about it just cuz like I don't know. It's like I like to, especially in these early stages where it's like branding is everything and you know, getting to know the artist is everything. Like I know that, well, since people don't know me yet, I should give like, you know, little tours about my life. And like, I enjoy making it. And if people like to keep seeing it, then I'm not going to stop that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like there's something that you haven't done yet that you're missing? Like, you know, I've been trying to do this.
Yes, but I don't want to let it out yet because I just like had a release. So we went over the release plan for my next release this morning. And what you're talking about is something that I'm going to be more strict on myself about with this next release. So
okay,
we'll get there when we get there, but I'm excited about it.
So when you are getting through your songs, do you feel like you're releasing them at a good pace, or do you want to do more?
So right now I like what we're doing. It's like every month and a half, like we basically like milk a single for a month with promotion and then 2 weeks of after the release is out. But like I want to build more catalog at the same time. So what I'm thinking of doing is like my songs that I think are just like the best of the best, I'm going to like market the absolute hell out of them. But then like what I'm thinking is every 3 weeks, so kind of like that halfway point in the promotion, I'll just like I'll soft launch a single, maybe like a B-side, just to build up catalog. And that way it's like, you know, this song I might not have cared if it would go crazy viral. If it does organically. But at the same time, it's like, this is still A+ content that people are coming to get after they've already previewed or listened to the newest single, the one that was actually being pushed.
Yeah.
Because I like right now, and like it's a cool thing because people will be like, wow, you only have 9 releases out and like you're getting the numbers. And like I appreciate that. But at the same time, it's like I want people to go to my page and be able to just keep listening. Like I want to, and I know it's like if I want to, you know, cut every single out to be in a month and a half, it's like I'll get plenty of releases out, but not as many as I want. Within a given time frame.
Yeah, that was something that in the Music Business Association during that conference, one of the people talked about that. Well, I think somebody asked a question. They were like, "Hey, there was this artist that I was listening to. They did like a street performance, and they were on top of this car or in a truck or something. And it was great performance, great song. And I went to go listen to the music, and they only had like 2 songs, and that was it. And they were like, how are you supposed to work with artists to defeat that?" And they were like, that actually has a term. It's called a dead end artist. And it's where you go to listen to their stuff and then it stops.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
So they were talking about it's really good for artists to really get that catalog up and build some kind of anticipation. Yeah. So you said, how many songs do you have out? Like 9?
Yeah.
So even though you just have those 9 songs out, which is basically an EP, it's not a lot. What you want to do is do what you've already been doing. And tell people about the more music that you've got coming out, because that builds anticipation. Yeah. Because if you have no anticipation of your music and you just have those 9 songs, then people will be like, oh, I don't know when he's going to come out with another song. But if you're constantly telling people, yo, I got this coming up, I'm performing here, I'm doing this, they'll be like, oh snap! Like you know, I've caught him in his wave. So. Yeah,
you're giving them that illusion. Oh my gosh, that's another thing we were talking about is like the magic of the music industry, like and how it's dude. There's like a science to it all, and it's all very basic, but like with little tricks and whatnot, you can fool the common man very easily.
So for everybody who is listening, just a tidbit of information: there is no such thing as somebody randomly dropping a song, because. In a big label, if you're a part of like Universal or Sony or Warner, they're not going to let you just randomly drop a song. So like a surprise drop that has been planned as a marketing tactic to make you think that they surprise drop that. So there are many things that artists do to give you this illusion that, you know, their music careers, you know, gone off the wall, or they're doing something crazy. They're probably, this has probably been planned out for a long time.
It's all about perception. Yeah. That's how you create demand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's basic, like, you know, it's basic business knowledge. It's just like, oh, it's like when you find out Santa Claus isn't real. It's got that effect to it. But at the same time, like every release I put out, that's another reason why I love releasing so often, because that midnight, man, it feels like Christmas. Like it's like the hardest work. It's like you put in all this work, and it's like this is the culmination of it all. It's like this is the point where we see how it does. Yeah. And it's like, let's say lately at least, like it's been great. Like we had record numbers for Loved You More. I think Texaco had like 19,000 week 1, and this one broke 25K. Nice. And it was like so awesome to see. And I was like, let's keep pushing. I think we broke 30,000 today. Okay. Really on pace to like get to 50 by the end of the week. And I put something on Instagram. I was like, get it to 40,000 for the lyric video. But I mean, they're probably gonna get that before, so I better edit that. Yeah, it's on my to-do list for Thursday, but
that's awesome. Sooner. So when you hit these like marks, do you feel like that's the new standard, or you're like, well, if the next one does 5K, so what?
I mean, yeah, if the next one did do 5K, like I wouldn't whine about it, just because I understand like I've got way more to back off of. Yeah, but like I'm like so grateful. Like every single time, the coolest part is like I've engineered it in a way where it's like I tell myself I'm gonna hit this goal, and then I'm actually able to do it. And like that's not something you can really do in music. Like if you're just being an artist, like you can't just be like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna do what I can to push for 25,000 in a week and just be like, yo, listen to my song. No, it's not like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's the playlisting, it's the blog pitching, it's just getting the word out there. Like, I was talking to a guy. He's in his 30s, and he'd been doing music actually like all his life in Memphis. And it's very interesting seeing a different perspective on how, like, when he would go about it, like, they would press CDs, literally going to the gas station and giving people their singles and giving people their CDs. And that really, like, got me thinking. I was like, you know, in this digital age, I don't have to go out and just hard press copies of my release, but at the same time, like, there's no wrongdoing in just giving your single to someone, especially a song that you know sounds good, and being like, hey, if you want to give this a listen, I'm a new artist. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's so easy. And so I literally started doing like 10 to 20 people a day, where I would just like find individuals, because of how easy social media is and the algorithms behind finding like niche communities like music. It's like I can put my sound in front of people that actually want to listen to it, and then they're happy that they had it. They're not just like telling me to go fuck off or asking me if I'm a bot. Like, it's like, wow, this person sent me his stuff. And like, I've created real fans off that. Because something else I've realized too, and I'll always give back to Memphis because I love it, but the support in Memphis is not the best. Like, it's very cutthroat. It's very hard to make it out of Memphis. And like, I have more fans interact with me from like San Francisco and India than I do in Memphis on occasion. But I mean, you know, that's a cool thing about the social media and online. It's like, I got really, I guess like when I was young, I always loved like the game of social media. So it was like, I got bored of it, and I was like, why don't I just put this to use within music? Why don't I just talk to people, but about my music? Like, not just like talking to my friends just to talk or scheme up bullshit. Like,
have you done any kind of like personal type things online as far as like streaming or anything like that?
I want to do more streaming. We want to get more on Twitch, because like I know some musicians that have made like their full-time careers off Twitch. It's insane. Like, I know a guy, his name's Nick Black, and his like full-time thing in music, and he's a Memphis musician. But his full-time thing in music is literally Twitch streaming every week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that something that you feel like you would want to do all the time, like once a week, once a month, or
I'd probably do it like once maybe like bi-weekly. I don't know if I'd keep up with it every week, but like I'd love to get on Twitch and just sit there with my guitar player and like play songs people suggest. Because like I know so much music just being at School of Rock, knowing so many covers, and like that stuff doesn't really leave your head. So it's like, even if people didn't want me to do my own music, like I'd love just to like take submissions. It'd be so cool if it's like an online tipping thing where like for just $1 or something, you can support me while also telling me what song to play.
Yeah. Have you seen like the online tip jars?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that people, you know, they get started on that, and then they just get the ball rolling. Like I heard there was some chick who was making like, it's either like $70,000 to $100,000 a year just
off of Twitch.
Yeah, just off of streaming. She was crazy. I think she was doing like Facebook Lives or something like that.
Insane.
I was like, dude, that's crazy.
The ways you can monetize. I applied for Instagram monetization because I was getting like those vlogs you were talking about. I was getting like 15K views off of them at each one. And I was like, how, like, I was like, there's got to be some way I can get money behind this. And then I found out there was, and how they're actually monetizing Reels. And I was like, man. And then I found out you can't monetize your Reels that are already out. And I was like, man, what kind of... But is what it is.
Instagram is they're like the Spotify of the social media. Like they have all these tools that you want to use and stuff, but at the same time it's like, yeah, what are y'all doing right now? Like they've got great stuff in line. And I was talking about this with what's her name? Erica Hackett. Haskett. I had her on the podcast, and we were just talking about like all the features that they have, but there's like some that they're missing. And I was saying, I think it's because of Meta. Like the fact that Meta owns Facebook and Instagram, they want you on both. They don't want you to just pick one.
I put all my stuff on both.
Yeah, because think if you had like all the great features of both of them on one platform, you're just going to stay on that one platform. So there's no point of doing that to them. But since you have both, do you feel like one is better than the other? Do you are you getting one?
Both. And the only reason I say both is because like I was talking about my mom earlier. Like she's like my number one supporter, always pushing everything. And it's like Facebook, like I didn't realize, I thought I was just putting stuff out on Facebook for no reason. like basically so many people my mom's age see it.
Really?
So it really does go after like that 40 and up audience.
Yeah.
And like people enjoy that. Like it's so crazy because on Instagram and like even on TikTok, like there will be people that are so young that love my stuff. I'll get DMs from people, and I'll actually do them where people will ask me to like get interviewed for their school projects, for like their middle school and high school projects. And I take up those just as much as I do these, because it's just like I want to be open to everyone, but it's also very cool to me that how universal my music has been for people. It's like I'll have people come up to me that are 60 and tell me they loved you more. And then I'll have someone
awesome.
Then I'll have like a 14-year-old tell me that he really loved Unite.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so cool.
So for everybody who is much older than Son.Person and hasn't figured out the game like he has so early, make your music universal.
Yeah.
Because that allows you to do things that most people can't do. So if you're making only one type of music that only fits a certain scenario, okay, that's great, because you're probably going to get booked for all those scenarios, whether it's like a sync license where somebody wants to use your song in a TV show because it's about rocks.
Yeah.
So now that TV show that's about rocks, you're going to get that placement because that's your music. But if you've got music that can fit anything, guess what? You can do anything.
Exactly. You just like have fun with it. And yeah, it's like there's an artist side of me too, and it's not like I'm bringing detriment to my artist side by doing multiple different things. But I think some people get stuck in that bubble where it's like, oh, I'm a rapper only. I can only rap. I know so many of my friends that like I know, especially with the ways that you can audio engineer now, that they could sing. Like I can get them sounding right on Pro Tools.
Yeah.
But they don't want to, because it's like that masculinity factor, that territorial factor of like, oh, I can't do that. And even the artist side of things, where it's like, nah, I'm strictly like a hard Memphis rapper. And I'm like, man, I could get you sounding melodic and crazy as hell, but you do you, I guess.
Cool story, bro. Like, do that if you want to.
Have fun with it. I'm going to do it too, but I'm also going to do it this.
And that's something that I thought was cool the other day. When I was listening to you rap, you like that really fast rapping. That was really cool, because I was like, this kid's unstoppable. Like he can like, so I've listened to a lot of Ryan's clients.
Yeah.
There's a bunch that aren't that great, and that's all they do is rap.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you can rap, you can sing, like you can do what you want to. That's got to feel good.
It's fun. And it's like, because I grew up singing at first. Like, I think one of the very first songs I ever performed live was like Little Drummer Boy. Like the old Little Drummer Boy song.
Yeah.
But stuff I really grew to love within School of Rock was like the Def Jam stuff with Beastie Boys, and even like Rage Against the Machine and that more punk aesthetic. And from there it grew, because like the whole hip hop and pop culture side of things, I always loved people like Bruno Mars and Justin Bieber. Like I thought the front men were crazy awesome, but in terms of like hip hop and a lot more of the roots behind things, I wasn't as familiar with. But it was, like I said, the punk scenes really opened me up to that. And then I was like, all right, I want to learn more about hip hop. And I was like, R&B, blues, jazz. It got very like, and then I started studying the real history behind stuff. Like you look at the Jazz Age and the Harlem Renaissance, and even just stuff in Memphis, like with guys like Muddy Waters and Isaac Hayes. It's so cool. It's like, yeah. I don't know, I could go on about it, but.
So when you are making a new song, are you listening to? Oh, so we got to talk about. Does he go by Blue? That's his preferred.
Yeah, Blue Jay.
So, are you just listening to stuff that Blue's got? Are you going on BeatStars, YouTube? Like how are you getting your music out?
It's like to make what I want to make.
Yeah. How are you starting it?
So usually, like how it first started, I would find a song that I liked, and I was like, I want to make this, to my co-producer. Like I said, my co-producer is like 40, general manager at School of Rock. And I was like, I want to make this. And I'd show him like the most random stuff. Most of the time it was lo-fi for some reason. I was really into lo-fi stuff when I was little or younger. But he would come up with something completely different, unlike what I asked for, but we would make it work. And like, I think what was really cool, like in the beginning, is just understanding compromise and how to make something that you didn't think was what you wanted still sound good. Then it was like, okay, well, now I'm just open to do whatever genre I want because you're already doing that. Like, I'd go in with him and I'd give him like an R&B song or like a trap record, and he'd give me like some Police or like some psychedelic rock stuff, which still sounded cool.
Yeah.
And I would still like make something to it. And then it was like, I started becoming friends with other producers my age, younger people that could produce more of the sounds that I was going for originally. And it's like, wow, it's like, I tried the more abstract stuff for myself. Now I'm getting to things that are more simplistic, and it's not only easier, but I can do it better. I have a better understanding of it because it's like I was able to go after more complex stuff for myself at the time.
Yeah.
But
what's your equipment knowledge right now? So I know, like when I was showing you all of our stuff, like you kind of recognize the stuff, but you're still asking questions about it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I was saying earlier, terminology is important for an artist because it just makes you look smart.
Exactly.
Like it makes you look like you know what you're doing. Do you know like the analog hardware interface? Like, do you feel like you've got a good understanding for that stuff?
Yeah. Analog, I know what analog is.
Yeah.
Using analog gear, not as well. I'm way more familiar with like plugins and virtual stuff, but I mean, like it's like what you're talking about. It's just basic knowledge of things. Like I'm not the most experienced within engineering and recording, but I've like just being observant. Like I said, it's not keeping like my head in my phone while someone's recording or someone is engineering my track. Like I'm actually engaged, seeing what they're doing, because it's at the end of the day, it's still my track, and it's like. They might be the hands of the operation, but I still want to be able to tell them what to do and, whatnot.
That's so important because you as the artist, like if you, say you hear a certain thing in your head, like you want to sound a certain way.
Yeah.
If you can't explain it, it's probably not going to happen.
Exactly.
Because if,
you can't get mad about it.
Yeah, if Blue's doing your music and he's like mixing it, and then like you're like, hey, do that thing where blah 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 blah, and he's like
what?
Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. That sound might not ever exist in your music just because you can't explain it to him.
Exactly. And it's like, it's just taking the simple time to watch a video or read an article, and then you understand the vocabulary behind things, and you never have that problem again.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, I guess I understand like the literacy boundary of like not wanting to learn more, like being the laziness aspect. But for me, I was never like that. I was very, what's the word for it? I was inquired. I was very inquisitive. That's the word. Yeah. I was asking questions.
Have you ever done studio work, like helping out in a studio?
Yeah, we worked at, me and Blue Jay, we worked at a studio at this place called For the Kingdom.
Okay.
And For the Kingdom, FTK, is a nonprofit out in Raleigh that just serves to uplift the community. They have like a huge ranch where they have free camps for the kids in the summer.
Oh, nice.
They have like a full food pantry where they serve all the neighborhoods in that community dinner. And a part of that, it's a new thing that they started, is a studio. And the studio just serves as a place, like, basically in the same sense that a lot of underprivileged kids are able to use sports as like a resource to like be able to get that next step up. We understand that a lot of people, it's like music is that same avenue, but you gotta have capital in music. And it's like, a lot of times people, it's either you can't get to it or you have to turn to just ways that might not abide by the law to get where you want to go. We wanted to provide a space that basically eliminated all of that, gave people a safe spot to record, give the everyday person an opportunity. And it was a really cool thing because I think FTK, it was like if you released through them and you couldn't afford studio time, like it was like 20% of your work went back to them just to like, accumulate something for FTK. But the majority goes to the artist, and it was a fun experience. We just got so busy. I mean, like, we still do work up there with them, but it was our first step into this music journey, I'd say.
Yeah. So for the future, you're in Memphis, you're doing great work, you've got great songs, they're popping, all this stuff. Universal calls you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You trying to build your own thing, or you telling them no, or what's going on?
If Universal called me right now, if they
now or later.
I'm not signing any deal with any major unless that thing's got 7 figures. Because like, to be real with you, like you can't market a song properly without $6 million at least. And it's like, and we're talking about like full-fledged like record label marketing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not about to sign all my publishing away, have these people work like what I just talked about on a 9 to 5 schedule while I'm hustling over here. And it's like my A&Rs and whoever it may be, they don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Like, I want to build up my label. I want to be organic. I want to see Memphis thrive. That's why I love that Camp South is working. That's why I love to see that Hit Kid is actually making something happen, because it's like, it's the effect of what is it? I guess it's just people getting sick of being, thrown to the dirt, to be honest with you. Like, we're just tired of seeing there being nothing in Memphis. And like, I don't know, majors, man. I'm not saying that I would never work with one, because you get to a point where it's like you need that machine.
Yeah.
And if you know how to work your contracts right, then you're good. But right now, no, I would never settle for a 360 deal. I would never settle for $1 million, because you got to look at it too. And you can look at, we talk about Memphis artists. I studied Young Dolph like for a year, and when I found out, like, when he passed away, I was so sad, because like, if you talk about street smarts, that man was so intelligent. And like, he had an interview where he talked about he would go back and forth with labels, and they would, they'd come at him for $1 million, come at him for $2 million. Every single time they'd come back for more. And he realized that it's just like, if they're coming at you with this dollar amount, most likely you can make near, if not more than that amount on your own, because they're valuing you at a place where they think they can make something off of you.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I'm gonna go back let me get back in the lab, keep going with what I'm doing, scale, learn the business tactics behind everything, and just grow what they're doing on your own.
All they're doing when they give you that number is they're figuring out their profit margin.
Yeah.
Like, they're just trying to see, well, we give you this much, and that means we know we can make that much. So
exactly.
And I don't know, have you noticed that all these older top name artists have been selling their catalogs to like Sony?
Dude, oh my gosh, I knew. Oh my gosh, no, we're talking about that. Who made Benny and the Jets? You may not even know.
I don't know.
Elton John.
Okay.
Elton John just sold his entire catalog.
I didn't know that. Was it Sony?
God, I think it might have been Sony. And like, for a lot of money, like 500 billion or something, like billion. Like, I don't even think they have that kind of money, like, realistically. It's just like,
it was probably 500 million.
Yeah, probably million.
Because I think Bruce Springsteen sold his catalog.
I saw that for billions, right? Or was it millions?
It was close to $1 billion.
That's what I thought.
I think it was like, I want to say 850 million or something like that. I'm gonna just look this up right now, because this number is actually.
Can I use the restroom real quick?
Too? Yeah, go ahead.
Sweet.
We're gonna take a pause and let Son.Person go to the bathroom.
Appreciate that. I'm excited to get it. I've enjoyed it. Like, sometimes I've had a few times where like I'll be in an interview and I'm like, when is this about to end? Because like sometimes, and this isn't even an interview, this is more just conversation, which I like more. But I fucking hate when there's like no substance. They're asking you like scripted questions. Yes. I really hate it when they're like trying to get something out of you, and they're like trying to like I've been in there was one situation where.
By the way, everybody, we're back.
Oh yeah.
No, I just wanted to capture what you were saying.
So. No, this is actually a good talking point. Yeah. But they were like, I was in I think I was in Nashville. It was one of the first podcasts I did, and they were basically trying to like call me out as a racist for saying I wanted to be the biggest thing since Elvis Presley.
Oh my
God. They were like, you want to be like Elvis? They're like, well, he like stole Muddy Waters' music. And I was like, I just want to be as big as him. I didn't say I wanted to like advocate for what they did in the 50s. I was like, yeah, I know who Muddy Waters is too, and I understand what went on at that time, but that's not what I was saying. And they were like, well, shoot. I mean, I was like, okay, let's finish this up.
Not to get on a weird topic, but that would also be kind of like saying, I want to be a great leader like Hitler.
Yeah.
Hitler was a great leader.
Yeah, like objectively.
He had a concept. He executed that concept, but at the same time, it's like, it was Hitler.
Yeah. I'm like, whatever, man.
Yeah. You were just making a point. Elvis was great.
I was like, Elvis was just, I was like, I specifically said biggest for a reason. I didn't say I wanted to be Elvis. I don't think my music sounds anything like music or like Elvis. I don't want to die on the toilet.
Yeah.
That was another response I got, because I said that at another place, and they were like, you want to die on the toilet? I was like, no, I do not want to die on the toilet.
Yeah, that's what I love about my podcast. And I think that's what people are loving about my podcast is the fact chill. That, it's just a conversation that we just so happen to be capturing the audio and the video. Like, I'm not trying to get a certain agenda. I've not even thought about the questions I'm asking you. I'm literally just talking to you as if we were downstairs hanging out with D and what's the other guy's name? AJ. Yeah. Like, we were just hanging out with them just talking. Like, that's
exactly. That's how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, you get the best. You're gonna get the best answers out of you, and I'm gonna make you feel comfortable. So you're just talking.
Yeah, it's organic. I hate the scripted stuff.
By the way, I looked it up while you're in the bathroom. It was $550 million for Bruce Springsteen. Yeah,
wow,
that's so much money.
Yeah,
by doing nothing.
And I was gonna say like because you're. I was gonna say you made all the money in like the touring, like you don't need that stuff anymore. You sold it just because you had it.
He literally had a garage sale of his music.
That's what I think is so awesome, and that's what I love about music, like from the business side of things, because I really want to get into real estate and I already do play around with stocks and crypto, but just investments in general, and like. Seeing music is like the biggest investment you can make.
Yes,
it's like. Oh, what I love about music is like, conceptually like stocks and crypto and obviously the age restrictions with even just getting a real estate license, like it's harder stuff to understand. But with music, like I said, like, I mean, I honestly started loving music when I was like 4 or 5 years old. It's like you can be infant level and like anyone can love music. Anyone can begin from there. And it's like you ride that wave. There's so many ways to get involved with music. And it's like, yeah, I love it.
I could definitely see yourself doing kind of like what I've been doing. Like I started out just wanting to make music and be a good artist. And then I was like, this isn't really what I want to do. I'm just kind of doing this as an avenue to get to my other things.
Exactly. And that was when I realized, like, when I got more into music business, when I got more into communication, artist relations, understanding the numbers behind things, and like what really drove, like what was the engine behind some of this stuff? How are some of these people, because like we talk about with perceptions, like how are some of these people being perceived the way they are?
Yeah.
How can we do that on an independent level and use those same tactics to scale? Because at the end of the day, like playlisting and blog pitching, like I'm not doing anything wrong by reaching out and giving them quality content. It's like, at the end of the day, like if a record label could pump 1 million streams into a song just to do it, and like we just think it was the coolest thing ever, we'd think that it was organic traction, but it's like you're gonna hate on the little man trying to like get real people. Yeah, no, it's like you can't feel bad about that stuff. And another thing too is like just the honesty behind it, because like I think people will get stuck, or I've seen it to where like people will buy followers or buy streams and stuff like that, and they can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, with anything else in life, it's like you keep up with this lie, you can only keep up with it for so long.
Yeah.
It's like just be truthful from the beginning. Just fucking like do what you love, and the right people will come. Like we were talking about Crucial a little bit ago. I think I'd say that he was one of my first real friends within like the wider music industry, because like that dude came up to me. There's this event called Beat Battle on the Bluff, and I was doing a halftime performance. I got done with my thing, and dude came and shook my hand. Next day, he sent me a paragraph on Instagram telling me how much he like really respected what I did just because he hadn't seen anything like it. And I was like, wow, like I didn't push for that. Like we were talking about like before, just like stuff just happens. It flows naturally. Like this guy is in a way higher position than me. Like I have no reason to be talking to him right now. And he's giving me the time of day. And it's like, it made me realize that people are people, doing what you feel is right. And, what you love to do will in turn put the right people in front of you. And Absolutely. It's like, I've been in music for forever, but it's always just been like a part of my life that I kind of kept away. And especially in the beginning of high school and latter half of middle school, it was more just like, popularity thing. Like, how can I have a bunch of friends and stuff like that? And a lot of those people, you realize are just shitty. Like, especially high schoolers. High schoolers are so shitty. But like music, it's like I started driving that as like my life's influence. And I've met people that I truly believe are lifelong friends within 6 months. I mean, the two people you meet downstairs, I met in January and March. Dang. And like, I'd almost consider those guys closer than some friends I've known all high school.
That's
like
crazy.
Really, and like genuine relationships where it's not just like, because like we were talking about earlier too, I can read people. I know if you're bullshitting me, and like the guys I surround myself with are not about that. It's awesome. Like these are genuine people that I love their music, they love mine, and we love each other personally. It's like when you can separate the business side of things and you get in a place where you can be comfortable as friends as well. It's the coolest situation because there's not many business situations where you can just be friends with your colleagues, and music gives you that. But.
Awesome. That was the sound bite right there. Yeah. So let's wrap it up.
Sounds good.
Give everybody your info and how they can reach you, and then tell them about what you got going on next.
Yeah. No, you can find me everywhere at son.person, Son.Person. You don't even have to remember the dot. You can just Google it. But we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Like I said, first full band thing this Saturday or Friday at Mushroom Fest. I'll be playing at the Ring Nashville on Saturday. Later this month, in July, we just finalized our first full tour, and I've booked that completely on my own. We'll be hitting Nashville, Memphis, Fayetteville, Little Rock, Tulsa, and Dallas. And then we might fly and actually play in LA, which would be pretty fun. And we're prepping for the next release. We're on the road to 50K with Loved You More. There's going to be more events this year that I'm probably forgetting. Oh, and then for any local people, I do all the media and hospitality up at the Levitt Shell. So if you ever want to come to a free concert up there, you'll probably see me. So yeah, that's what I got going.
All right. Well, thank you for doing this. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Heck
and I look forward to
We got to do it again. I was going to say, this is a great first one. Awesome. Definitely won't be the last.
All righty. Well, thank you for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.